Hi everyone, welcome to episode number 20. We actually made it to 20 so far of the Fitness Devil podcast. So today we have a good old friend of mine, Braeden Wright. Now, unlike most of our other guests, Braeden isn't a trainer himself. He's actually a very successful model and he has a successful music career growing. But fitness has always been a key part of his entire life. So join us. We get into his whole story, how his thoughts on fitness and how it's been a big part of his success.
Shut up and sit down.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Fitness Devil podcast, and I'm Andrew Coates, and I got Dean Guido here with me. But today we're actually visited by an old friend of mine who has gone on to do a lot of really cool stuff in his life. He's got a successful modeling career turned into a music career. He's been featured in Forbes. So Braeden Wright, unlike most of our other guests, he actually isn't a fitness professional himself, but fitness has been a pretty key part to his lifestyle, and an ingredient in his career success. So welcome, my friend. It's great to see you. And what have you been up to?
Hey guys, what's going on? I've been doing a lot of traveling. Moved to LA last year, so I actually just got back home to frosty Canada before Christmas. So I've just been spending some time with family and hanging out and getting back into the swing of things for 2018. So yeah, not too much lately. How are you guys doing?
Amazing. Well, we just got done recording a really great episode, and hopefully if you're listening to this, you've checked out Mark Mitchell and Michelle Bagnall's episode. And actually, if you're a friend or a fan of Braeden's, and this is the first time you're hearing this, well, hopefully you'll love this, and then maybe you'll go back to our previous episode to try another one. And if you like what we do, then maybe you'll end up being a subscriber. But first and foremost, let's focus on you. So what's the latest with the music career? How's that doing right now?
Things are going pretty good. I moved to LA in about February of last year. Decided to just spend a few months writing and getting to know people out in the Los Angeles area. I have a few friends out there who really wanted me to go out. And, you know, I hadn't been on the West Coast in the heat for a while. I'd basically I was living in New York for 3 years, and in the summertime I went to London and it was just raining. And so I got to LA and it was like straight from Canada. Middle of February.
This is awesome.
To palm trees, sunshine, oh my God. So I got out there and just decided to see how things would go, and something I always wanted to do. And, spent a few months just writing completely alone, doing modeling and stuff as well. Still kept me very busy. But for the most part, I just wanted to see where things went. This year has been one of the best years of my life for sure, by far.
Love hearing that.
Yeah.
I think we could say the same thing about our last year professionally as well.
Yeah, fucking awesome.
It just keeps growing and growing.
Yeah.
Here's to 2018. See if we can top it.
Yeah. I know you're into books. We share that in common about all the cool books and stuff that we read. But
you read as many books as him? Oh my God.
You make fun of him, but I'm just as bad.
It's his way of feeling better about the fact that Dean doesn't read as many books as I do.
I got the Audible books. If you listen to the other podcasts, he's giving us the spiel on how you read books faster.
We have a buddy, and if he's listening, he'll know who I'm talking about. He was like, "Oh, don't you think it'd be better to just read one book and digest it and absorb every little bit of it and all this sort of stuff?" And actually, I totally get that viewpoint, and there's something to that too. But I still find that just by ripping through books, I still absorb the key concepts within it.
Sure.
And I think if you find something that's really important, you can always go back to it and use it as a resource anyway. So I think that if you really pour over a book to the point where you've mastered every little aspect of it, you're missing an opportunity.
Weird thing, my brother-in-law, his dad was the mayor of St. Albert. Anyways, he's recently retired from that, and he read 10 books on vacation. I'm like, how the fuck did you read 10 books in a week? He's like, well, if I don't like something in the book, I just skip by and go to the next chapter. Because you'll consume the stuff that you need to consume, and then he's like, I just breeze over the shit that's not important. I was like, that's not that bad of a...
It's smart.
Yeah. I'm into the idea of consuming as much as you can and really getting exposed to a lot of stuff. I think that's one thing that's really nice with the age we live in, with all the technology and everything on YouTube and stuff. You can really just start totally digging around, and if you find something that you need to go back and stop on for a second and really take in, you can do that. But put an audiobook on 2x speed and you're sitting on the train, it's just such a good way to...
You got out the 2 times?
Oh yeah, 2 times.
You're both 2 times?
I saw you had that post and I was like, you know what, that's a great idea.
Well, once you get used to it, it's super easy to absorb. you got to work up to it. You can't just go from 1 times to 2 times. Your brain's going to explode. But.
There's a weird thing back in university. I went to U of A here in Edmonton, and I actually, before podcasts and stuff were really taking off, I found this program where you could scan text and turn it into like readable text, like in a Word document. And then I had another app on like a Windows XP computer that would take that text and use like a computer voice and turn it into like this like semi-robotic, semi-human like audio.
Next level,
and I
man.
took all of my, I spent the first week of every semester being like, this is so stupid, but I'm taking all this time, and I would scan all of my books. Because like a lot of the stuff was like theory, and it's stuff you can kind of take in, you know, in an audiobook kind of format. And I would make my own audiobooks from all of my readings. I would just like sit in my hot tub in the middle of winter and go like, okay, I'm learning about all these policies of all these different countries and stuff. And just like 2 times speed, let's go, boom. So
really?
Yeah.
That's super
That's
smart.
like next
people are
level,
like,
man.
you are so weird doing this. I'm like, you know what? It's working. And now, you know, God, like 10 years later or whatever it is.
You
like,
created
people are
audiobooks
like,
essentially.
yeah, we got to read podcasts in like 2 times speed and we're going to just get it all.
You
Like,
basically
yeah, man.
started it, man.
Do you know what's weird? You can't listen to podcasts at 2 times speed. It sounds really fucking weird because with an audiobook, it's somebody reading along just whatever the script of the book is.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very, very evenly paced where you have all the inflection and nuance and energy of a podcast.
Yeah,
when
that's
you're talking to guests.
incredibly true.
So it just sounds really funky when you try to speed it up. I turned it on and I don't know how to find the option to turn it off of podcasting because it's funny. So I was like, I got to figure this shit out because I can't handle this.
My brain's exploding.
This is fucking terrible.
Podcasts are so fun. They're like a little party. It's like an information party. Why would you want to speed that up?
Exactly, right? Don't blast through it too fast.
Okay, let's go to fitness. If we talk about books, Andrew will talk the whole time. This will just be a special episode about audiobooks and 2 times speed. We could do that one day. I mean, people would. That you've niched yourself almost there for
the
Edmonton.
intro to books/audiobooks.
Yeah,
He's slowly becoming like a book guy.
It'll get like 100 downloads, and then word will get out that it was terrible, and everybody will do what you did and listen to the first like 5 minutes of it and then bail out. So
Like, fuck this shit. Okay, how'd you become interested in working out and like this whole fitness thing? Because we're talking modeling, we're talking music, but like fitness is actually a thing for you. So how did that evolve?
Sure. Well, you know, I was never ever like the most athletic person. I played hockey since I was 5, but like
so you're in
I was
Canada.
the guy that was like probably fine, but like didn't score a lot of goals. Maybe would go and like be the defensive guy, but like I was never
You're invisible.
in shape. You know, I wasn't that guy in high school
Yeah.
or anything. But I always wanted to learn how. But you know, once I started getting into modeling, there's kind of 2 different kinds of male models. There's like maybe skinnier, and they're more like, you know, high fashion stuff, whatever, but like kind of rock star look. Then there's the guys that are like really fit, really commercial. They do like Calvin Klein and stuff like that. And when I first started, I was a little bit more one of those skinnier guys, but I had a chance to work for Calvin Klein. I didn't get it the first time, but I thought to myself, like, if I could get in shape, I could get this.
Like, fuck these guys.
And like years later, that's actually what happened. I got a second chance, and then I started working for them, which was amazing. But in that moment, I went like, how am I going to get in shape? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, just kind of lifting whatever. You know, I was running a lot, and I wanted to get into like a kind of fitness shape, but I was just like cross country running. Like, that's not exactly going to do anything for you. I learned now, but
I got the time. You're like, man, I'm gonna get ripped and run.
Yeah, I remember I was camping somewhere in Canada, and it's the summertime, and I went to Amazon. There's some book called Scrawny to Brawny, and it like half the stuff in it was like, probably shouldn't have done that. Half the stuff was like, okay, but it gave me somewhere to start.
Yeah.
But I followed everything in this book like to a T, like as you do when you begin, because you're just so like you have no gauge of what's common, what's been tried and true, or what's totally experimental.
Man, my first experience to learning about lifting and eating or whatever was like all bodybuilding magazines. Yeah. That was it. That was all that was really available at the time. And there's a lot of bullshit in there, but there's actually still a lot of really good foundational shit.
Sure.
Like most of what Arnold was doing back in the 60s and 70s was really legit. Just don't do seated cable rows the way he did them, or smoking cigarettes after workouts or shit like that.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, that started kind of the whole journey, and then eventually I got into better shape, and then I actually got signed in Los Angeles, which is where guys are, you know, a little more in shape, and I ended up living with, you know, these ripped dudes this guy from Brazil was just like in the best shape ever. And I just watched how he ate every day. Everyone went to the gym. Everyone ate the same. And that really helped me kind of learn what these guys are actually doing in real life. Not just like, you know, in a book or... Yeah, God. I was drinking like, before I went into the gym, like a whole shaker of like tons of Gatorade powder with protein stuff. But like when I look back, there was like so much Gatorade powder, like one before, one during, one after, and I just remember being like, "Oh my God,
your body can't even absorb all that."
I know that now, but back then I'm going like, I'm skinny, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just go for it. But yeah, then I got.
You actually went to the photo shoot at Calvin Klein. They're like, you need to read Scotty to Brawny. Like done. I'll be back in 2 years.
Exactly.
This is the seminal Bible of all male fitness. Physique modeling for Calvin Klein.
You want to be a model? Scotty to Brawny.
Yeah, Scotty to Brawny.
Well, like anyone listening to this is never going to forget that now because it's so distinctive.
Yeah. I like it. That's like a normal path, though. Like you're describing something that pretty much a lot of people have went through, us included. I just didn't read Scrawny to Brawny. I went to T-Nation, which probably isn't any better at that point. It was like selling supplements and Anaconda.
I remember that too. Yeah.
I was like, I want Anaconda.
Well, I always say about T-Nation, just like bodybuilding magazines, I mean, there's tons of great writers on there. Dean Somerset's a writer on there. Yeah, see, we get it out of the way early this time. Dean's going to be laughing. Or my friend Eric Bach or Tony Gentilcore or Brett Contreras, like Eric Cressy. There's tons of really brilliant writers. And then there's some people, I won't say any names, that snuck in there somehow. And it's like, oh my fucking God. So it becomes a really good exercise in being able to filter good from bad when it comes to fitness information, which is a valuable, underrated skill to have.
Well, talk about that because you were basically going on about you had these roommates. How did you figure out good from bad, I guess, going forward from there?
Well, I mean, when you start anything new, you're kind of always like that. You have no gauge for anything. Yep. But the thing that I got extremely lucky with, you know, getting into fitness, when you live with people that are like living, breathing, walking, talking, like exactly your goal, you can just observe what they do, you know, and you see what they do for real. They don't say, oh, I do this and this many times a day, but then secretly they're home like eating a bag of Cheetos or something. Yeah. So, you know, I just started talking to them, started seeing what was going on. I would go with them to the gym. I would learn kind of by osmosis. And from that actually gave me much more of a standard to start even exploring deeper into, like, I was into bodybuilding.com. That was kind of my first like legitimate place that I actually went, okay, this was great. Found a lot of people there too, but you know, every fitness trainer has their kind of twist on things to sell, which you have to do, you know, but at the same time, like, now there's so much information out there. Everyone's trying to do something, but the things that really worked for me was just like the common things that everyone kind of does that, you know, might not be too sexy when you're talking about it. But at the end of the day, you go, okay. So when you're reading all this stuff, you're living with these guys that are all doing it. Like my one friend was just, he had this insane Brazilian accent, not insane, but like insanely great. He just, man, I'm going to be like eating this protein like tonight, blah, blah, it's so good. Like he would be like making this like egg white, like chocolate protein thing with strawberries in it. And you go like, what the hell is this guy doing? But then you eat it and it's good. And he's like telling you all about macros and counting this. And okay, so, you know, I kind of just figured out the general principles. Then when I was actually going out and looking at stuff, I could kind of for myself start to weed through who was like spinning stuff and who was not, you know. So
you could find out who you could see bullshit.
There's a lot of it.
It's
tough.
Yeah, what do you call it? The shit test. You actually knew what shit looked like.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck that.
Yeah.
These Brazilians, they actually take their fitness really seriously.
I was gonna say, basically, what he's saying is get a Brazilian friend that like is
like, find a ripped Brazilian friend, live with them for 2-3 months,
and they'll spin it very nice.
A lot of people don't know about Brazilians. They come packaged that way. That's it. Like I've got a Brazilian client, and like it doesn't matter what she eats. She's just like this tiny little waist, and like she just looks unbelievable all of the time. Yeah. But
basically, all Brazilians are ripped and eat well.
Yeah, actually, every Brazilian.
It's weird. They'll teach you macros. They'll teach you macros.
Every Brazilian I know looks incredible. It's just this weird thing. So I don't know. Maybe you go down there and it's like, oh, that's not the reality. But
no,
for now we're generalizing them. They're all.
See, it's okay to say racist shit if it's positive.
I would honestly, you're probably not wrong to some degree. It's like someone will get mad, but like that's going to be the minority in that case. Like the majority will get mad over bad shit. A very few minority will get bad over calling them on good shit. That doesn't make any sense.
And obviously it's not universal and we're having a little bit of fun here, but I actually do think that culturally it's something that Brazilian culture does value. Like
I think so
fitness and looking good and all this sort of stuff. So sure. But
Find a Brazilian friend.
We digress. Let's see. So our audience is really used to hearing fitness pros talk from the perspective of working within the industry. Yet a lot of our audience, they're not necessarily working. There are trainers that listen, but we have a lot of fitness enthusiasts. And you being on the outside looking in, what are your thoughts on the industry and what parts do you love? And what do you think that the industry could work on?
I mean, there's so much out there, which is such a double-edged sword. And it's kind of what I love and what I also don't like about the industry. Like, there's so much information. So, it can be very overwhelming, but at the same time, like I can't imagine what it would have been like when you had to like go to the library or find just one trainer in your town.
Archaic.
And, now it's kind of like if you want to learn stuff, just start learning. Just read everything. Just try and figure it out. Eventually, you'll get somewhere. There's so much information that is, on any topic, bodybuilding included. So I think that's been incredible for this industry. I think that's why it's flourished so much in this age of social media and the internet and stuff, because it's kind of uncovered this secret thing. And, now, like, to get in shape, you can be less susceptible to marketing and all that kind of stuff. It gives you the tools to go and figure it out for yourself. At the same time, the gimmicks and certain people that are not, I don't want to say tricking, but everyone has that kind of thing. So you can fall for certain things at first. Like, you might be chugging a whole protein shaker of Gatorade and stuff before, during, and after the workout because it's there and you just believe it and go for it. But it's I don't know. I think there's a lot of great people in the industry, so I don't want to say too many bad things. It's changed my life. I love it. But I don't really have too much more constructive criticism. I think everybody's kind of doing the best they can, and it's happening organically that things are going well.
I feel like it's getting better and better with time.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you alluded to with social media, there is the ability for more people to reach a broader audience, and then the audience themselves have access to a lot more information. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that the vast majority of people are going to be very discerning about what they're exposed to and hopefully be able to see through the bullshit.
Yeah. One thing that comes to mind is, I can't remember if it was you who posted it, but I follow a few fitness guys on Instagram and stuff. And there was someone who was saying, this is what I look like when I'm posing and I'm sucking in and the lighting's perfect.
That wasn't me.
Yeah. And then he's like, and this is me with my gut relaxed. And he's in great shape.
Dr. Spencer Nadolski did a post that is pretty famous. I don't know if you follow Dr. Spencer. I've been talking to him, and he's going to do this in the near future, hopefully. So that'll be exciting. But Spencer did one of those things. You see his ripped abs. He's the doc. He's the doc who lifts. The guy's jacked, and then he sits down with his belly bloated out, and it's like, holy shit, this is the same person. Yeah. But you see those images.
On the one hand, it makes you less intimidated because it humanizes kind of this insane ideal that everyone has about things. And of course, things are going to be little photoshopped, a little lighting can do a lot, But at the same time, there are guys that, will take the pictures to look in their best light and not really show that side. So I'm sure some people go, oh, I can never look like that. It's so elevated. But, when you can also see guys that can look that good, but they go when I have my break and I eat a cheeseburger and stuff and I'm relaxing on the couch, this is the reality of what I look like. Most people don't know what the reality of looking like that is in real life. So
that's social media in general. It's and actually this is a really good point, and I like to hit on this. When you expose yourself to fitness models and bikini girls and all this imagery, you're seeing carefully selected highlight reel of the people you're following. Mm-hmm. And not a lot of them, you described, hopefully, some are capitalizing on this and understand the value to speak to everyday people, but a lot of people aren't showing the real. So people get this idea in their head that this is perfection, this is what they're supposed to look like. They're being shown that highlight reel, carefully selected stuff, but they're comparing that against their own everyday, keenly aware of their own insecurities. Yeah. And you got to be very careful about making those comparisons and understanding that this stuff isn't that reality. you can't be that hard on yourself and beating yourself up over every little thing that you might not love about yourself. You pick apart because you're not seeing those things in these photoshopped images or these perfectly selected photos.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, of course, again, lots of shirtless modeling.
I was like, just trashing your pictures.
And less than shirtless. So, have you ever had something that was like photoshopping's a thing in the industry? Have you ever come back and something it's like it's been a little photoshopped and there's some really great lighting and you're like, holy shit.
I look good.
Oh yeah. A few times. You just go like, damn. But at the same time, like with being a model and you're on social media, you take those pictures yourself, you edit them yourself, you understand how much of a role like lighting and stuff plays. Like as a model, you understand how much that actually means, the type of camera that's used. So, there's times where I go like, there's a picture out there where I look like amazing, but sometimes I can go like, I know that I actually do look pretty close to that, but at the same time, it gives you just a little bit of value in going like, there's that extra little bit of shine that everyone kind of gets. So,
Any tips? For the listeners,
Dean, shave.
The beard needs to stay. So, despite having a beard, how do you get good lighting? I have no fucking clue.
In my own personal experience, like the type of lighting is actually really interesting. Like
this
if you have a different color of light, like in photo shoots and stuff, it's usually that really like not necessarily bright, but like a cleaner light, like a daylight kind of light. That usually helps a lot. Like if I try and take a selfie, as you do,
Yeah,
and I'm like in my parents' house and they have like the old school kind of like yellow lighting. I go like, oh my, I look like so shitty. And I'll post it and my agent will be like, is everything going okay? Like, how are you looking? I'm like, it's fucking just the light, man. Like, so, oh my god.
At L2, that's why Landon and Laura was like, this is the best place for like fucking. We have literally brand new LED lights, these huge ones on the roof, and they blast basically like daylight at us. But they make us look so good in there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it.
So that's
the lighting.
That's a big part of it.
If you pull of anything about this podcast, not about the nutrition, not about not eating Gatorade, it's like literally lighting. Lost 5 pounds.
Yeah.
You don't want to give them too much.
Some more attitude.
And you're just like
a little less body fat, you get those shadows going, and then you turn up the contrast, little structure, boom.
There we go.
There it is.
There's the blueprint.
Contoured makeup.
Didn't even have to diet that week. It's just
If you have a bad week, go to the lighting and the shadows. Okay, so I'm gonna assume you got a pretty busy schedule just as a model, and then I guess now as a musician. So even think back to when you were in LA. How did you prioritize workouts and nutrition, and what would you kind of give advice for anyone struggling to kind of fit in fitness and their life, I guess, their busy life to make money?
It's not always easy, but something that is a common suggestion by a lot of really good trainers, and I'm pretty sure I've heard Andrew say this too, is like
he's not good.
You just make fitness a part of your life.
Yeah.
Like you don't look at it as something you're just doing on Wednesday from like 2 to 3 or whatever, So it helps if you have enough time to really get into it and you can kind of absorb it and learn stuff. But the most important thing is just learning enough about nutrition, about dieting, about how to work out, so that when you put it into your life, it just becomes a habit. It becomes natural. You don't have to like put all of this mental energy into going here at this time and think about this. You can kind of live your life and do all of the other stuff. And you might even be doing stuff to help your fitness goals subconsciously without even recognizing it. That's, I think, when the changes really start to happen. You make good habits and you just like are kind of more conscious about what you're doing. So definitely, I think if you can find some way to really dig into learning all of this stuff. Personally, for me, I'm sure you guys have all heard of MyFitnessPal. Like, that changed my whole life. Like, I didn't know what a calorie was until I started, modeling and working out and stuff. I would, not eat for a while, and I would play some Halo maybe, and, have a pizza, put some bacon.
Which Halo?
This was way back. Like,
how old? I'm 30.
Would have been,
Are you 30?
I was, yeah.
Okay, so Halo 2.
Almost.
It would have been Halo 1, then Halo 2.
Halo 2, 3, somewhere around there. But, you don't know.
See,
but then,
you're breaking stereotypes. He's a model, but man, he was fucking on Xbox Live, Halo 2. With
way back. Like, no. No,
Don't
you
tell
gotta
his agent
game
that.
sometimes. Also, man, you should see my cheat meals or pizza now. Damn. But like that really did a lot for me because it gave me ownership of just learning what was what, learning what a calorie is, learning what macros are, and I started using that to take a diary of everything I was eating, because one of the most important things is just like your calories in, calories out. Like that's such a basic thing, but it's like the most important. What macros you have. It's funny when here's a weird little secret. When I first started doing that and I was like trying to figure out what meals to eat and all this stuff, and I was telling my dad all about it, and I just met Andrew at this gym that I went to, and he taught me how to squat properly and stuff, and I was like, yes, I'm finally getting like a little extra.
I made it.
I told my dad about this guy. He's like, yeah, he's this big guy. He's in such good shape. He's got like red hair and stuff. And my dad goes, he's at Costco, and he comes home and he goes, I think I was behind this guy, like in line, and he's like kind of like in better shape than everyone there, you know. So I think it was him. And he's like, so I started to look at like everything he was buying.
Yeah, he taught me how to
and he's
squat
like,
in the middle.
He had chicken and plain Greek yogurt and vegetables, and I was like, okay, like making a list, like, yeah, okay, this is how we're gonna slice it up.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So like, you know,
Do you teach him how to squat?
you know, like I knew, but like there's the subtle things about like getting the form right on whatever you're doing is huge. Getting just the basics of calories in and macros in, having a plan of understanding food so that like right now when I go to eat something, maybe I'm not as strict about like how to plan it, but I know what it is. Like I can look at food and go, that's actually that. You know, I read nutrition labels all the time, so you're less tricked by like, for one of my biggest things is like frozen Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
You know, Greek yogurt's such a thing. Like real Greek yogurt's amazing, but you go to the store and it's like, we've got like chocolate, vanilla, Greek yogurt, frozen yogurt, blah blah. And you look at the nutrition, it's actually just like cream with sugar, with milk, with like the tiniest bit of Greek yogurt in it, so they can say that, but it's not what it is. So at the end of the day, just like learn the basics.
Yeah.
Get MyFitnessPal. Even if you just do it for a while, you'll learn what food is, and that's the most important.
I think that was the biggest thing. Even when a similar story is like when I started to actually, after football was done, like I had to like really focus on it because I'm not running around losing all this weight. I was like, fuck, I need to figure this shit out. MyFitnessPal made me a walking freaking nutrition guide. I could look at a potato. I'm like, oh, I could ballpark-ish what things were. And I'm like, there's probably 30 grams of sugar in that. But it gave me that awareness of when I sit down, I don't have to be stressed. Not even that I was stressed out about it. I just knew what the fuck I was eating.
Yeah.
Which is, I would say, probably 90% of the battle. Because if you know something shit, at least you know it's shit.
A lot of people will hear us or other people talk about calorie tracking and again, MyFitnessPal and all this sort of stuff. And I think some people are intimidated by the idea that or think that they must commit to doing that forever in perpetuity when that's not it at all. And you guys alluded to this. If you instead do calorie tracking for at least a little while, it gives you a ton of knowledge about how much food and what kinds of food roughly equals the amount of calories that you need for if you want to build muscle or if you're trying to lose weight or just maintain what you're doing. That experience alone gives you tons of know-how that this is what you're saying.
Even just to track what you're eating currently, not even to like think I need to add this, this, and this. What am I eating in a week?
Just be conscious.
Don't even think about it. Track it. Okay, now that's what I'm eating. Maybe I could make some better choices.
Absolutely. And one step that I take with a lot of clients that I work with, and there's two choices. We go habit-based and just work on what they're doing, or you can track right out the gates. And I actually ask people to give me a week of tracked food without trying to artificially clean it up so I get an honest idea of what they're doing. So I can see how many calories they're consuming. I look at the macronutrient ratios. Almost invariably, you see too little protein, perhaps not enough fiber. The calories are often a bit high. We also see what's happening to their weight in that time frame. And then I can then provide a new set of numbers to say, okay, this is the protein target I want you to have. I want you to get your fiber up to here. And I don't really care too much about if you have more fats or more carbs. It's more about what gets the right amount of calories and what you like and what is going to be sustainable for you. No, I don't think that having no carbs and all fat is wise, or vice versa. You certainly do need to have a minimal amount of fat, or else some hormonal disruptional shit starts happening. But beyond that, even if you were to track for a short period of time, it should be easy when you know you're not committing to it forever, but you'll learn a lot from it. So I like that as a piece of advice for almost anyone who is struggling with their nutrition.
The other part about that you said is like you have to like what you're eating. So if you give yourself the knowledge and power to go like, well, I love chicken breast. It's my favorite thing. I could eat it every day. If just for some chance it's your favorite, like eat it. You know, you don't have to switch up with all these other things. The thing that bothers me the
chicken
most
breast doesn't count.
Is when I see people that are really actively trying to lose weight or trying to get in shape and are eating the thing they don't want, but isn't actually that great for their goals. So they're just miserable and suffering and going like, yeah, I'll have the salad with like this sugary dressing and then like all this other stuff. And, you know, like they don't like it versus they could just like have a piece of steak, have a little sweet potato, and maybe they love that more. But like they think, oh, salad is healthy. That's what's going to help me. And it just really crushes me when you see people working so hard, but just kind of spinning in the ground.
Clean eating fallacy, and it's also like fake health food fallacy.
Yes,
my favorite example of that is going into Booster Juice because, I'm getting a smoothie, right? And it's like, healthy smoothies. Like the first problem with that is those things are loaded with fucking calories. Honestly, I treat Booster Juice as a treat. That's a meal replacement, sure, but that shit is a treat. You do not make that every day.
Tons of sugar.
The one thing I was kind of curious about is essentially like what kind of tips, not even tips, what shit do you see with models, I guess, in kind of this whole process of figuring out diet and all this? Like, do you have any shit stories?
Oh man,
just because you're here, fuck it. I just want to hear something.
Yeah, for sure. Like
insiders.
You don't have to air anyone out by name.
Shit stories, as in like people like eating terribly and not understanding
anything.
why.
Like what sticks out to you? What are like two things that stick out to you?
You ever see anything like people eating shit like paper towel to fill themselves up?
I'll preface this one.
Wearing like plastic wrap around their waist.
No.
I'll preface this by saying I had a buddy who actually was. I won't say what sport he played because it'll give it away. But he was in the States. Played like a Div 2, anyways, got scouted in New York because he's playing, that gave it away. Yeah. Anyways, with the Milan and all this shit, and he was too fucking big, so he just ate, not like shit, but like probably very low.
I probably know him.
Like, yeah.
You probably gave it away already.
Oh, okay. Okay, sweet.
I'm half kidding, but if you told me the name, I'd probably go, oh yeah.
Okay, we'll talk afterwards. Anyways, ate, lost. He's like my size, let's just say.
Yeah.
Got nose. Like, you're too fucking big. So he's like, oh, I look like shit. I gotta lose weight. And he just would eat like tuna. And he was lost a bunch of weight, got the job. But it was like, fuck, that's the worst fucking thing you could have done, but it worked. Any stories like that?
Oh, God. Well, I mean, not really. Because a lot of the guys in the industry, like, if you're kind of the more like, I look like the male version of like Kate Moss, where it's like I'm the skinny British rock and roller guy.
Yeah.
Like, there's a look for that, and like those guys, honest to God, they eat whatever they want. And it drives me crazy. They'll just like go and have fun, and then eat like just pizza. But they do that thing where it's like they eat a lot, but their calories at the end of the day, when you're really observing them, like when you live with them, you go like, you're probably not eating that many calories. But they literally will eat whatever whenever they're hungry, and they just kind of just chill. Then there are guys that they take it so seriously, they pretty much know what they're doing. But like, I also know a lot of guys that are trying to get in shape, and it's like when they're on a budget, and so you go like, that's when stuff is like, ooh, this is getting interesting. But like, you got to do whatever. Like, I had a friend.
Yes.
Here we go.
I had a friend who he is in amazing shape and was in amazing shape then, but he was trying to get really lean, and it was working. But he was just like making his own like protein pancakes, but they basically just devolved into just protein. Like, he was just putting protein on a frying pan and cooking it into this like rubbery pancake. But it was literally just like Quest protein. And I'd be like, hey man, like what's going on? He'd just be like sitting there like eating and just, oh yeah, protein pancake. It's so good. And I'd be like, okay, cool. Like, let me try that. And it's just like rubber. But he's just like 0 carb, like all protein. Like, and like, sure, okay. Like, he's counting his macros and stuff, and he's eating a salad and stuff later. But you go like, oh my God, what are we eating here? This is literally just fried protein powder. Like, this is terrible.
Was it water and protein? Like,
water and protein. There's literally nothing in it. And he was like so excited about it because he's like, I found it.
Figured it
this
out.
is my thing. Like, we've got protein pancake. Like, you know. Oh, God. What else? What else is really funny? There's maybe some, like, I've experimented with a whole bunch of weird recipes and stuff. So there's one that's maybe not shit, but like, I bought an ice cream maker when I was living in New York, and I was living with a bunch of guys, and we were all dieting, doing the same, going to gym, blah, blah. And I was like, man, what if I made like Greek yogurt ice cream? Like, did it, like, figured it out myself. So I like took some frozen berries, some plain Greek yogurt from Costco, some stevia, just a little bit, and like I looked up recipes of like gelato and ice cream, how they actually make it, and like the proportions.
Like, I got this.
And so it was like a little cream, a lot of Greek yogurt, some raspberries, stevia, like mix it all together, test out some different ones. That was like such a hit. It was so good. Someone out there is probably gonna steal this idea and then start making it, and I'll be so pissed. But it was amazing, and all of my roommates were making fun of me, going like, why are you making this ice cream stuff? Like, you're so weird. And I make it, and I'm eating it going like, I found something here. And they're like, can I have some? And they're like, by 10 minutes later, they're like all scraping at the edge of the ice cream maker, like to get a little extra. I'm going like, yeah, okay. You know, I tried a couple other varieties, and I did like a chocolate protein one. Like, that did not turn out very great.
You should have learned that for the pancakes.
Yeah. Oh man, no. But there's definitely a lot of tuna cans. You're right. That's a good.
He actually gave me a good recipe that I used, and it was like tuna hamburgers. So this was his go-to. So he'd get a can of tuna, and the recipe was actually half decent. You get a can of tuna, you drop an egg in there, mix it up, and then you fry it like that because it already comes in like a patty form in the can.
Damn.
Put it on. It's actually
that
fucking
sounds
good.
Amazing.
Yeah, but it's not amazing when you're eating 4 of those in a day. Like,
well,
that's
like, once the mercury poisoning starts creeping up, you're like,
and he's like, then I would have peanut butter. I was like, so you'd have like 3 tuna burgers and peanut butter. I'm like, do you know how much calories in that? Like, you're a 220-pound male. He's like, yeah, but I was losing weight. And I'm like, yeah. You look like nothing. Don't worry about it. Anyways, got him the job. Don't do it. Yeah. But if you put anything, tuna burgers, ice cream, Greek yogurt ice cream. Yeah. Don't make protein pancakes without actual binding
just make
agents.
them good.
Yeah.
There's so many good recipes. Yeah. Just do it. Like they're amazing, but just don't fry protein. Like, you can do better than that.
So
I actually want to try it just to see what it would taste like.
It's just it tastes fine. It's just the consistency. Like, no. It's like eating a foam yoga mat.
Okay, so not good.
But chocolate.
Well, there's probably a market for that chocolate flavored yoga mats, right? You'd start
somewhere. My friend's craving it right now.
So you've got all these wild experiments to figure out nutrition, and you've utilized MyFitnessPal.
Yeah.
Are there any other resources or specifically professionals that you've paid attention to and learned a lot from, like fitness industry people that have taught you a lot?
I really loved Greg Plitt.
God rest his soul.
Yeah. I love that guy. Because he did his thing, and sometimes it was a little funny, and he would have there's these things on YouTube, Quotivation, where they clip up. It's like a mashup of all of his quotes in the gym, just be like, just go and da da da. But at the same time, man, the guy was shredded, and his ab plan, that is one of my secret weapons. There was this thing he did on bodybuilding.com called MFT28, and I did that for a little while, and I was like, okay, but this doesn't quite fit. But he was like, you know what? If there's parts of this that you like that work, take them out. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take this ab routine. And then I ended up modifying it a little bit over time. But that is still one of my favorite things that I've taken from him. And then there's another guy, Jim Stepani, on bodybuilding. That might be...
I don't know Jim Stepani. Who's Jim Stepani?
So I'm not going to shit talk or anything like that. But you've seen Lane Norton and Jim arguing over stuff. And one of my biggest criticisms of people in the fitness industry who get behind the sales of supplements is then they start saying a lot of things that are actually not backed up by the science, the evidence. And if you are someone who fools around with glutamine is a good example. So Lane obviously came out and said, no, glutamine is a complete waste of your money if you're getting enough protein. It is an amino acid. If you're already getting enough of it in your diet, you don't need any extra. Whereas Jim is a very vocal proponent of glutamine. Jim also happened to sell glutamine.
Yes.
So that was one of the things for me. And I think that Jim's a brilliant guy. He's a PhD. He knows a ton about training, all this sort of stuff. So there's a lot of good there. It's just I'm always a little wary of taking supplement advice from people who also happen to sell those supplements.
100% agree on that. 100% agree.
But please go on.
Well, what he did the shortcut to shred or something, and like the program I wasn't super into, but he had this like 20-minute video on nutrition, and most of the stuff in there ended up being exactly what over time I realized like is the stuff, and he just explained it really well. And so like a 20-minute video, whenever I have friends that are like, how do I figure out nutrition? Well, I'll say like, okay, with a disclaimer like this kind of, but this stuff is actually pretty good. Other than that, I can't remember who it was, but there was this one trainer who was the guy who trained, James Bond. Who was the guy who was playing James Bond in that?
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig, yeah.
I don't know who his trainer was.
Can't remember.
Whatever, he trained him, so he's good.
But something that really struck me in trying to figure everything out was this idea of he trains people like, if he's got an actor who's supposed to look like a boxer, he'll make them box. If he's got an actor who's supposed to look like he's just will throw guys off of a building and look super powerful, he'll get them throwing giant things around. Do you know what I mean? And that seems like such a common idea, but when you really don't know what's what, like you're on the outside looking in, that was an idea that totally struck me. It's like you have to work out with the purpose of whatever it is that you are trying to make your body into. Like if you have you want to look like a cross-country runner, go cross-country running. If you want to look like a sprinter who like their body compositions are completely different, you're going to be doing different things, and what you're doing with your exercises are going to determine what your body looks like. It's a combination, but that was something that just gelled in my brain, that so many people don't get and waste so much time with it, jogging on the treadmill because they want to like get shredded, and you're like,
no,
it's just wasting
do whatever
time.
Brad Pitt's trainer had him do for Fight Club and for Snatch.
I was gonna say for Troy,
protein pancakes.
And do what he did for Troy, because that's like that movie sticks out of my mind. That was like that started my
that
was like one of the ones where like, I need to look like Brad Pitt.
He looks
and
completely
Troy.
different in each film and did different things, right? And that's what you guys are all about, like figuring it out and having your goals.
But that even goes to the fact of like how do you find and sift through information? That recipe almost rings true to that. Like if you want to look like, a lot of it was the 300 bullshit. Like I want to look like the guys from 300. Well, go figure out what they did. Is it right or wrong? I'm not going to comment on that, but I mean, that's what they did. It's probably a good place to start. And I guess that they can kind of build progression or path to how you figure out information. But if it's just like, they obviously ran, like, and you just go run, like that's probably not a good way to kind of put together your plan.
Yeah.
Go find Brad Pitt's trainer.
Yeah.
In Troy. Who was it?
Yeah. I do that thing all the time. I Google anytime I want to learn something, just Google search.
Yeah.
See who did what and who was behind it, and
it's a good place to start.
Find anything on them, and then you'll start to piece it together a bit.
So we've kind of, and this goes to this whole thing about critical behaviors and habits, and how you work to build and maintain a physique. So like you've talked about how you found information, but what's some advice for getting people started? So any of our listeners getting started in working out and kind of building these positive changes, because you've kind of talked about how you found information, but what are these things they need to do to kind of start that journey?
Definitely get MyFitnessPal. Yeah. Just take, like Andrew said, take log of what you're already eating. Don't stress out about it, but just so you can be conscious of what's actually what. Like that's working out and eating in ways that you understand what you're actually doing is the most critical thing. Yeah. Then from there, like habit building is so important. And there's another, we were talking about books, and one of my favorite books, I think you've read it, The Power of Habit.
Slight Edge. Oh, no.
Slight Edge too.
I thought you were going to say that.
Slight Edge is another one, but Power of Habit is one where like you don't realize how much you operate on a subconscious level where you're doing all of these things that you just don't think about. It doesn't take any energy because they're just habits. So start getting in the habit of stuff. Like take one thing. If it's just, I know nothing about fitness, I know nothing about nutrition, and I realize this guy's saying, get MyFitnessPal. Just this week, just use MyFitnessPal every day.
It's free.
it's free. It's one thing to focus on at a time. And you start to slowly build the different habits and learn about the different things. So don't be too hard on yourself to try and like, all of a sudden tomorrow wake up and you got everything perfect and you're going to just try to figure out the key building blocks and do one at a time until it kind of sinks into your brain, you know, then everything else will flow from there. Just stay open, I guess.
And I guess it's funny because a lot of our messages, we're just gonna be known for like, we don't give sexy fucking messages. It's like, be moderate, build habits, you know, start with your diet. But like those things will ring true. The more and more people we follow, there's a reason why it's a general message at this point. For
sure.
Like they're converging on a lot of the same points because that's the shit that really works when you get down to the nitty-gritty.
Everyone wants to hear, hey, I've got this diet. It's called like, you know, Fat Burner
Scrawny
9000, Scrawny to Brawny.
Yeah,
from Scrawny to Brawny 2020. Like, but it's the unsexy things are the things that work. Is just so true. And when you start learning from all of these different people, you'll see all of the things that they have in common. Underneath the sexy stuff is the unsexy stuff that actually is the work and makes it happen. So
let's pivot because hopefully a lot of our listeners are actually people who know you first and they found you
like
with
this
us.
guy's just a fucking model.
What's what are some of the unsexy things, the everyday stuff that people don't know about life in modeling and now your music career? What isn't so glamorous? And then what kind of cool stuff have you encountered that which just is wildly awesome that people might not expect?
You know, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes.
You don't just stand there and look pretty?
No. Well, I mean, sometimes, but no, but like, you know, it took a lot of work to get to where I was. And obviously you're gifted with certain things. You have to be a certain height or whatever. But at the same time, like before I started doing this, before I started taking care of myself, like I was never the guy in high school that had girls all over him and people thought I was amazing. No way. It took me constantly looking in the mirror and like critiquing myself like bodybuilders do and going like, okay, I can improve this, I can improve that. And not in a destructive way, but like, you know, you have to go out there and then once you see like, oh, I got to get in shape, then you got to dive into the world of bodybuilding and learn all about this stuff. And that's a whole, you know, it's a new part of your life. So there's all these things in the background with modeling that people just don't see on the surface that actually like it takes a lot of time. And I mean, it's not the hardest job in the world, but it takes work too.
How accurate is the movie Zoolander as a...
Oh, man.
It's like, out of all the questions...
100% correct.
He's like, this has been dying question. I've been
There's
dying to ask.
I just thought of it. I literally just thought of it.
Honest to God.
My wife loves Zoolanders. It better be a good answer.
Bunk beds? Oh, baby. Like, bunk beds is like for sure. Because the thing is, when you're modeling, you start and you travel around and like you don't have credit history in all these countries and stuff, and there was no Airbnb, and
oh yeah, that's true.
So it's like, where do you stay? You can't stay in a hotel for like $150 a night when you're going there for 2 months. So all these agencies will have places where you just live with other people with your agency, and like, yeah, maybe they happen to have some bunk beds, and some are nicer than others and stuff. But like, you do like the scene where Zoolander's like in his apartment with like his 4 friends. It's like that's totally true. You've got like it's like half this kind of like frat thing because you're just living with a bunch of other people from all over the world.
Are they? You seem like a smart guy. Are they all Zoolander-esque in terms of intelligence?
No. Here's the other secret thing that people don't probably expect is like at least most male models are kind of picked up from nowhere, and they don't sit there when they're 12 or 15 and think like, I want to be a model and that's what I'm going to do. It's kind of like for me, I went to school, I studied political science, the U of A, I was playing music, I was going to do that, and then I'm scouted, and I kind of go like, well, like, I could do this. And before I know it, I'm in New York, and I'm meeting all these people, and I'm traveling, and I'm going like, okay, well, now I got to focus on this. But like, I had a whole bunch of other stuff I was doing. So you meet all these guys from different cultures that are amazing, and they all have their own story. They all have something that they were doing that's completely different than this underneath. They just kind of happen to fall into it. Yeah. So most guys are actually pretty smart. And very hardworking. And the thing that is nice about it is like you don't have a traditional work schedule. So even though there's a lot of stuff you're doing and there's a lot of work and traveling, like you do have a lot of flexible time to like, as I keep saying, like, but you have more time to go read, consume podcasts, to think, to talk to people, and to take in culture. And for those people that do want to do that, man, like it changed. That's the part of modeling that actually changed my life, is having this time to really grow as a person. And anything I wanted to learn, I kind of could, you know, that was amazing. And it helped me personally get past the Zoolander thing.
I like that.
But you know, Aqua Vitae
you're ruining it for me. They're all supposed to be dumb, making freaking faces.
I mean, in any industry, there's going to be different people. Has everyone that I've known in the industry always been perfect? And there's been some interesting times where you go, what were you thinking?
What's an interesting time? Like one interesing time that
something
you think
that's not going to get you in too much trouble.
Yeah, I've got many. I'm just sifting through the ones and going like, what would actually...
It doesn't have to be
none
clean.
that can come off the top of my head that I can say. We're gonna have to leave some mystery. If I think of something that I can actually say, we'll bring it back up.
Like we see the same crap in the fitness area. Well, actually, like Dean probably hasn't too much because he went right into L2 with some really professional, like a small group that are really awesome. Whereas like you work at a commercial gym and
I was a teacher.
Well,
actually, I won't arrow.
Yeah, it's like this teacher.
I get it.
This teacher was involved with this student, and it's like that kind of shit gets people in jail. So
I don't have any of those stories. Let's just get that.
Yeah,
don't have any of those stories.
Well, what did you teach anyway? Like junior high?
Yeah,
that's really bad.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
Yeah, well, maybe it's like
pivot.
Let's get away from that. Let's not get all James.
Well, actually,
let's not get all James Franco on this.
Let's talk about the music. Just because, like, we didn't even touch on that because that's what you're doing now.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing with that? Just let's just start there.
Well, last year I moved to LA, like, you know, partially for modeling. Like, I'm still modeling a lot. Like, it's keeping me busy. I'm going back to LA in February, actually, doing a couple jobs for Armani. Yeah. So that'll be fun. But it was what I've always wanted to do my whole life. Yeah. And another good part of, you know, modeling, I had this time, like I said, to learn and grow and things. And I've been playing music and producing and a sound engineer and stuff for 10 years. So I moved to LA kind of with the purpose of going, you know, I know there are people here that I can meet that are like-minded. I just want to write some stuff and start and see what happens. Because, you know, I have a decent following on Instagram, and I was posting covers and stuff, and people kept going, you really have to do this, and like, this is so good. So I kind of just wanted to follow that. And I had some friends in Los Angeles who were like, this is the place you need to be. So I just took a chance, just like I did with modeling, like I do with most things in my life, and just kind of tried to follow what's happening. So I moved there. I wrote what initially was supposed to be like a 3-song EP kind of demo thing just to put out there. And I went through this really tough breakup, like, you know, a few months before that. And so, as you do as a musician,
Taylor Swift did it.
You're sad and you just start writing stuff. And so, no, I spent about 5 months and I just kept writing all of these things, and things kept coming out. And I said, well, I'm the type of musician that loves artists, like album artists. Like, singles are great, but like I love those. So I said to myself, like, I've got this time. These things keep happening. Maybe I'll just make this into like a full length thing. And so I did it all myself, and I didn't have, you know, a ton of fancy equipment, but I know what I'm doing. So I made it able to sound like pretty good, but I did it all myself in my apartment. I bought every instrument, played every instrument, wrote everything myself. So I did that, and I just put it out there, gave it to some friends, gave it to some people who knew other people. And, you know, I made 50 CD copies and put them on my Instagram and said, like, anyone who wants a signed copy, blah, blah, blah. And they sold out, and I sold them all over the world to just like insanely crazy places like Philippines and Australia and London and, you know, the States. So that was really interesting. I figured out how to put everything online on Spotify and stuff. And, you don't get a lot of streams when you're doing things independently at first. But in Los Angeles, things have been going really well. So I have a music manager now, and that's kind of the next step that I'm going for now, is to kind of like capitalize on the people I've met and the things that are happening to kind of go to the next step. Now I can say that I'm actually doing it. In my heart, it's what I've been doing for forever. But you can't say, "Oh, I'm a musician and I know how to do all this stuff," when people go, "Okay, let me hear something." And you go, but I haven't recorded anything because I've been on the road for 4 years living out of a suitcase, So that's what's been going on. Now I'm splitting my time for the next little bit between Canada and LA, because there's a good amount of work here in Edmonton. I've missed being home, to be quite honest. I've been gone for so long that I know when I start doing this and I have my manager and he wants me to play live and start touring and all that stuff, it's going to be a whole big thing. So hopefully this next year is going to be a big year for me, because I'm really, the seeds have been planted, and now I'm just excited to see what happens with everything else.
Guys, if you're listening and you haven't been exposed to his music yet, like, check it out, because we'll get some information as to how to get a hold of that stuff. But check it out, because maybe Braeg's big and you got in on the ground floor, right? So you'll be able to say, "Hey, like, I was listening to this guy before he became famous."
There's like this guy, he's totally fucking goof, but JD High Roller or whatever. Anyways, he has like these girls in. He gets super rich just doing these stupid trap tunes, and he was super famous. But his one thing was like, "I want to get so famous that I can act like I don't know nobody." That's how big you get.
That sucks.
Yeah, but you might forget everyone. You might get so big that you act.
I don't like that.
Yeah,
that, totally honest.
The fame is fleeting, so people act like that, and all of a sudden, shit doesn't.
Basically,
go so
you just for our personal. You got to get so big that you can come back on and push a podcast. Ooh. That's the only reason why.
It's the only reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
They're like, we could really use this guy.
We could use you, man.
If he's okay. Like, people are going to listen to my music and be like, "Oh, man, this guy is depressing."
Like, we mostly interview fitness professionals, and they all have come from a variety of backgrounds, really cool stuff to say. But
he's saying the same shit.
It's nice to bring on...
It's actually just a nicer voice.
Yeah. Very smooth, soulful voice. But it's nice to actually bring someone on who's close to it, but still technically on the outside.
Yeah.
And, one of our episodes, Lindsay Somerset, she's close to the industry, but doesn't technically work in it directly with people. And so I enjoy those perspectives. And sometimes those stories are a little different, as opposed to the same, "Oh, you got to count your calories and you got to squat," and all the same stuff that ultimately a lot of the credible fitness professionals end up saying in one way, shape, or form. And sometimes the message can get very repetitive. So this is definitely different. I had a question and I completely forgot it. So, I know what it was. So what are some of your major music influences growing up?
Growing up, well, I mean...
Or even currently.
Growing up in Canada, for some reason, like...
Great Big Sea.
The Backstreet Boys, man.
Well, that's
like the secret that, like, for some reason, Canadian guys, like, it's just like... you had
I would argue.
You had YTV, you had the hit list, and it just kind of.
I don't hate the Backstreet Boys; they're not bad.
No, but my whole style is, there's this songwriter named Max Martin. I don't know if either of you guys know who he is. He's this secret songwriter genius who wrote everything for Backstreet Boys, wrote everything for Spice Girls and all that stuff in the 90s. Every big hit since then, Kelly Clarkson, The Weeknd, Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, all that pop stuff. He is co-writing so much of it. He has like his own kind of group of people and all these students that work under him. So I really love him, and like that side of pop music. Like I love a catchy pop tune, but my real thing is I love like British alternative rock, like U2 and Radiohead and Oasis, and like some bands like The Verve. There's a band called Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. I'm wearing a Queens of the Stone Age t-shirt right now.
Yeah. Love Queens. I'm going to try to go see them. You going to be in town when they play here? I'm going to go see them.
Ooh, when are they playing?
Shoot, I got to double check that. But
they're on my bucket list.
It's the first half of this year. So, and he's... Poor Josh Homme. I've been a fan of Homme.
He's incredible.
Since he was the frontman of Caius.
Yeah.
So it goes way back to the early 90s. Yeah. I love their music. They're heavier. But love that stuff. Black Rebel Motorcycle Club has some really cool stuff. So you said a lot of names there. Are you familiar with Catherine Wheel?
No.
Oh, God. Okay, so you got to go check these guys out.
Okay.
Check out their album Ferment. So they came over with the same wave as Blur and Radiohead and that new wave of British pulp All
Yeah,
those bands.
I'm obsessed with that
Elastica,
whole
all
era.
hit at the same time. So Catherine Wheel have a couple of albums. I'll tell you which one to get, but this stuff is really cool stuff. So and it's that same era, that same sound.
Yeah. I love like even some more experimental stuff. But even guys like John Mayer and like Ryan Adams, I don't know if you know him, but
Yeah, familiar with Ryan Adams.
I like kind of all this stuff that kind of lives in between that world. A band I really like is One Republic. Because they kind of meld that
That's
together.
the one song I can play on piano.
They have this-
Apologize.
Yeah, we go.
What's-
He's another secret songwriter too. He
Yeah.
co-writes for all
Lots
these people
of
that people
people.
don't know,
Yeah.
and like that, he's one of my heroes. Ryan
What's the
Tedder is this
song?
guy.
He's crazy
What's the
live,
song
too.
where
Yeah.
they're it's like the ballroom, the masquerade ball thing? It's a really cool song that they have. All the right.
All the right moves. All
Yeah,
right
that one.
places.
Yeah, I like that.
That's
Yeah,
the
that's
one
a
you
good
know.
one.
It's Apologize was pretty much the one that put him
Apologizes.
on.
Yeah,
map,
it was
more or less.
massive.
Don't know that one.
What?
You do.
I
You
mostly
just don't know that you know it.
I listen to broad range stuff, but it's mostly rock, so heavy stuff. So let's like
Except for you listen to the pop one.
There's some pop.
No,
I mean,
the
some-
One Republic pop song, like the
Because
Apologize.
it was always like playing in the gym that I worked at, and like back when you'd still see the occasional music video in some sort of
Yeah.
format. Now no one watches music videos
Oh
anymore
yeah,
except on
that's a
YouTube,
good
right?
song, though, too.
So pivoting, as Dean likes to use the word, you mentioned The Power of Habit is a book that you really like. Is there anything else like your favorite book, something that's really profound that you'd say
has impacted your
everybody-
life. Like the book. Like if you were to pick the book, because you have some crazy. What was the one? What was the one?
There's a book called The Surrender Experiment. It's by a guy named Michael. I think it's Michael A. Singer. He also wrote this book called The Untethered Soul, which is a pretty popular one. I've been meeting people and they go like, "What's the one book?" And I go, "This book." And most people I suggest that to are like, "Oh, I know that book," and then you get that instant connection. You know when you really love a certain book.
Yeah, the
that's
way
like
you-
a
the way you look at
self-help
each other
book,
every
and
time you
go,
bring up a
"Oh
book."
yeah, we know all those secrets."
So yeah,
I'm looking at Andrew right now.
I haven't heard of this. I'm like,
Sending
what is
those
what is this?
What is the book?
It's
What's it
about it's a little deviating from like structured self-help plan. It's a bit more of like a bit more spiritual, not in like a crazy like pseudoscience way, but just this guy's philosophy of like you've probably heard of like The Secret and stuff. That's a little bit more of a
Yep.
mainstreamed kind of
Yep.
similar idea, which is like I follow certain things in that have worked for me. Like I've got vision boards that are full of everything.
Dude,
that-
you're in LA. That's
Yeah,
like the capital of pseudoscientific bullshit right
crazy.
now. So you're gonna
But-
get soaked up in some of that.
but there's this book. Basically, he decides to live his life. He goes through this whole moment where he just decides life isn't what he wants it to be, and he ends up getting divorced, and he goes on this like meditative journey for like 2 months where he's just like sitting and meditating, and that was his only thing. And he came up with this idea of like he just wants to explore life by letting things happen organically, and like kind of like the trusting your soul and being present in the moment and all that stuff. But it was the Surrender Experiment is the story of his life, and he ended up being like a super successful like software CEO and doing all these crazy things. So the one book is like how to do what he's doing, which is a really popular one. And this book, The Surrender Experiment, is like the story of his life. And I read that one first, and I was going through like this pretty crossroads moment in my life. Like I said, I had this breakup and all, and usually that's a pretty big crossroads when it's really bad. But yeah, it went through his whole life, and it was just the most interesting story. And the way it's actually like a story of things going on, not necessarily like a self-help book, but you're picking up all these things he's doing and learning from it. But those two together changed my life and changed my whole perspective on just like anxiety and stress and meditation. And
What's the book name?
What was the author's name again?
I think it's Michael A. Singer. This Surrender Experiment is the one that's about his life, and The Untethered Soul is the one
To be a model, read, surrender. Lighting.
You would like him. I'm pretty sure you would like Untethered Soul.
Cool.
Even
Yeah.
if you don't like everything in it, I think you would appreciate
You know
a
what?
lot of it.
It's all about exposing yourself to more
well,
stuff and
lighting,
and
scrawny
there's always
to
things you can
brawny.
take away from it, right? I mean, if I read it and there's like, oh, there's a bunch of bullshit. Well, there's probably still something good in there.
I think the basis of the idea is like there's so much in life you can't plan and you can't control, but there's so much you can control. It's like, take a firm grip on the things you can control, and the stuff that you can't, sometimes you just gotta like let it go and just let it be. Because it's wasting your energy on the things you can control. Instead of staying at home and being anxious and like worried about your life and your job and your debt and all that stuff, like you go to the gym, control it, and things will start to cascade in a positive way. You know,
you just described the essence of one of my favorite books. If you're familiar with an author named Ryan Holiday, he has several really amazing books, and The Obstacle is the Way was
I read that one.
Really profound
you
book.
Recommend that?
Yeah,
I read that one.
Love that book. So, what did you think?
Great.
Yeah, and it's a
very
lot of
similar
what you just,
vein.
Yeah,
in all
Tell
this
why you guys are
stuff.
friends.
Because we're smart.
I just think that book has a really
It's like,
super
it
message.
has nothing to do with the time you saw him at the gym. It was actually all books.
Yeah.
And your dad gave him a good referral because he's like, yeah, this guy.
Saw me in the
This guy's
Costco.
eating so much Greek yogurt. You need to be exactly like him. I model half my life on Andrew. You know,
Andrew, you actually are. So to be a model, surrender, lighting, scrawny brownie, meet Andrew.
Andrew. Yeah, Andrew.
That's pretty sweet.
Listen to this podcast every time it comes out.
Yeah, done. You're a model and then a musician. What's next? What's next in your career? So I know you talked about possibly touring, but like in your mind, what are you doing in the next 6 months?
Well, I love songwriting. I love producing. I've set up a studio here in Edmonton. So with the beautiful magic of the internet now, you can do a lot of stuff online. So I have a lot of people I'm still working with in LA.
Yeah.
And so I can, send stuff over the internet and work on that thing from here. So for right now, I'm actually really, really into doing that. So I'm just going to keep writing, keep producing, go back to LA eventually, in a few months. And, I'm doing so many things at once. It's a little bit nuts in trying to describe it, but it's the same as this philosophy of this book. Like, I'm just doing all the things I'm passionate about and seeing where it takes me. So, I really don't know what to expect for this year, but hopefully it'll be really fucking good.
I'll be following along pretty closely. So, now, for anyone who doesn't already yet follow you and they want to check out your music or just your social media, where can they find you?
You can find all of my handles are the same. It's just Braeden Wright, which my name is spelled a little strange for some people. So that's BraedenWright. And I'm on Twitter. I'm sort of on Snapchat, but definitely on Instagram. You can also find all of my music. It's on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon, all of those places. So find my name, you can find me. But if you Google search me, there's going to be definitely some interesting stuff. So we were talking about like embarrassing pictures. there's maybe a couple out there too, but
Where you're not wearing a whole
I love
lot.
them all.
Yeah,
Love
girls.
them all.
So yeah, there's probably a lot of photos of him where he's not wearing a whole lot. So if you're into that sort of thing, girls, check it out. Or guys, if you're into that sort of thing, that's great too, right? I'm sure that's
Any
not.
press is good press.
Yeah.
Attention. Any attention's good.
Yeah, man.
Or
Don't
maybe-
discriminate. I'm all about it.
Yeah. All right. So we really appreciate you actually joining us. This was a blast. It was great to catch up with you. So, guys, please check out Braeden and follow along with what he's doing. He's an old friend of mine, someone I really want to see do well, and I'm glad to see that he is. And as for us, if you are a fan of Braeden's, finding us for the first time, so you can check out my Instagram at Andrew Coates Fitness. Guido, what is it? Guido Power.
Guido.power. And I actually, weird story,
Power.
I learned my name has actually been said wrong my whole life.
Yeah.
Some people from France met my auntie and uncle. They're like,
Guido.
it's Guido.
Guido.
There's a apostrophe, like a fucking backwards apostrophe. Anyways, long story short, I've never used it, but I guess that changes it. So people are like, you're not French, but if you use the special E, you are French. So it's like,
So Guido
sounds
is the
really
Italian
fancy.
version.
yeah, Guido. It's like
Guido is French.
Guido.
So when you put
Guido.
on a suit and you go out,
I would use Guido, and then if I'm in the gym, it's
reservation
Guido.
under Guido?
Guido is the gym like sports one, because then I'm like, oh, he's a total like Italian jock dude. Then Guido is like, I'm fancy when I have my special suit on.
So yeah, Dean and I post a. I don't give a shit about this.
Has the suit on, just shreds and flexes.
People like wrap it up already. But Dean and I post a ton of fitness stuff, and if you're not already following, or if you're already following us, you know that. And as for the podcast, if you really like this, try our last episode. We had a couple of friends, they're really super fun people, Mark and Michelle. And if you enjoy it, consider subscribing. Like, we've got a ton of good podcasts already recorded, and we're going to make a ton more. We got a lot of great guests lined up. We should have a really amazing trainer named Megan Calloway lined up. She should be, if everything goes according to plan, our next episode. And you're going to want to check her out. She's smart and cool. And guys, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Peace out.
Shut up and sit down.